By 1864, the Civil War had become something no one could have imagined. The easy victories and patriotic songs were long gone. Now both North and South were fighting not just for victory, but for survival. In the East, Robert E. Lee's army was exhausted. Supplies were scarce. His men were hungry barefoot and outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. But still, they held the line, dug into the earth around Richmond and Petersburg, defending the Confederate capital with everything they had left. Facing him was Ulysses S. Grant, now commanding all Union forces. Grant was relentless. He knew that every day the war dragged on, more lives were lost, and the South drew closer to collapse. So he stopped chasing glory and began to grind the Confederacy down. From the Wilderness to Cold Harbor to Petersburg, his armies pressed forward, losing tens of thousands, but never stopping. It was war by endurance, not by elegance. As Grant once said, "I intend to fight on this line if it takes all summer." And he did. Far to the south, another Union general was carving his name into history. William Tecumseh Sherman. Brilliant, ruthless, and utterly focused, Sherman understood that to truly end the war, the South's capacity to fight, its factories, its railroads, its spirit, had to be broken. In 1864, he began his infamous March to the Sea. From Atlanta to Savannah, his men cut a fiery path through Georgia. They tore up railroads, burned crops, and dismantled the very infrastructure that fed the Confederate war machine. To the south, it was terror. To the north, it was strategy. To history, it became the definition of total war. For Sherman, the goal was not cruelty. It was clarity. He wanted the South to see that resistance meant ruin and surrender meant life. "War is cruelty," he said. "The crueler it is, the sooner it will be over." By the winter of 1865, the Confederacy was bleeding out. The once proud armies were shadows of themselves. Desertion soared. Cities fell. In Richmond, even Jefferson Davis knew the end was coming. But as the war reached its breaking point, Lincoln's greatest fear began to grow, that the Union might win the war, but lose its soul. How do you rebuild a nation after you've burned half of it to the ground? The Civil War was no longer about land or politics. It was about the human cost of unity, a test of whether a divided people could ever live together again. And as Grant closed in on Lee's exhausted army, the final chapter of America's bloodiest war began.